Imagine India builds a deep water port in the Iran, and this particular port is believed to be the access point for India to basically connect to the Central Asia, Afghanistan, and even different regions of Europe as well as Russia. Now, suddenly, United States of America, under President Trump's administration, has withdrawn the sanction waiver it granted to India for the development of Chabahar port in the first term. So, why suddenly US has withdrawn this particular sanction waiver? How does it all tie to the Iran-Israel-US relationship, and how is it going to impact the strategic interest of India, especially in the Middle East and the West Asian region? In this particular video, we are going to delve deeper and understand throughout the entire video how Chabahar port and overall the concept of Chabahar port development originated, how India developed this port for several years, and what are the options that India is left with after the removal of sanction waiver going forward. So, first of all, to give you the context of this particular topic, recently in a press statement, Donald Trump administration has stated that the waiver it granted into India in the context of development of the Chabahar port in the year 2018 from 29th of September 2025, this waiver will no longer be applicable. In other words, we can say that after this, if India continues involving in the Chabahar port of Iran, the companies of India who are largely involved there will have to face sanction against this particular overall this what we can call as administrative policy as such. Now, Chabahar was considered as a very important port that India was developing in Iran, and to many of the scholars, it was considered as the answer to the Gwadar port that China was building near the Pakistan itself. It was kind of competing with the Gwadar port that was China building in Pakistan, and this we can understand by looking at the map itself. If you take a look at the map here, this is the Gwadar port that you have in Pakistan, and through the Gwadar port, China has unveiled its plan of connecting China, the Xinjiang region of China, through the China-Pakistan economic corridor. And if you look within a distance of few hundred kilometers further to the west, we have the Chabahar port. This is Iran, and India was involved deeply in development of this particular port, both in terms of investment, the investment value that it has put, as well as the strategic interest that India was trying to fulfill from this. Now, if you try to also understand that what is the strategic importance and why India in the first instance was largely encouraged to use this as a transit point. So, first is obviously the location of the port. If you talk about India, this is the entire western coastline of India, and India did not have any direct access to the countries such as Central Asian country of Afghanistan, especially after the Taliban took control of Afghanistan. India had to find some way to enter the Afghanistan as such. Now, also due to the relationship between Pakistan and India that has always been in historically also been adverse, India cannot access Afghanistan through Pakistan, and that is why it was being developed as a strategic roadmap to the Afghanistan as such. And also to further connect Afghanistan, you can understand that India has developed a roadway network also that connects the Jaranj, that is near the border of Iran, Afghanistan, to the Delaram, that is near the Kabul province and such. So overall, also not only from India's perspective, it could have helped Iran in countering Western sanction by ensuring that the trade volume and trade goods, commodities can overall pass through Afghanistan, Iran, and then further to India as such. India would have access to Afghanistan Central Asia, and further there was a plan to connect this entire project with the other project that is called as INSTC. So if you try to understand about the international north-south transportation corridor, we can see this is the roadmap of this corridor. So through this particular Chabahar port, India could have been part of this project also, and it could have provided it multiple ways and multiple radiation zone through which it could have involved in the trading activities. So this particular INSTC project, if you try to look, is connecting Iran, then further it is connecting the regions around Caspian Sea such as Azerbaijan, Georgia, and then going all the way up to Russia as such. Not only that, even there was a plan of connecting another, basically creating another maritime route passing through the Red Sea region and then connecting Europe. And overall, this entire route, we can say, transportation route, could have been a way how India could boost its trade ties throughout the entire region of Central Asia, West Asia, Europe, and Russia as such. So, because of the sanctions waiver that has been removed by the US administration, all this project to some extent will obviously suffer problems. Now, if you also try to understand that the development of Chabahar port was also considered as the counter to China, and more specifically China's Belt and Road Initiative, or also referred as One Belt One Road Initiative as such. Now, before moving further in the video to understand about the Chabahar port, I would want to bring your attention to the fact that Legacy IS Academy, we are going to commence batches both for the weekday students as well as weekend students. Weekday batches are going to commence on 22nd of September and 16th of October, while the weekend batches are going to start at 4th and 25th of October. Now, in this particular program, we ensure that we ensure comprehensive coverage of GS paper for the students enrolled in this program. We also have 1:1 mentorship and doubt solving sessions. We also focus on having regular interaction between the faculties and the students, and we believe that the preparation of UPSC should be done in an integrated manner right from the start, and for that we ensure that students are exposed to daily mains answer writing practice and then get regular proper feedback. We have test series as well, so that students can evaluate and understand their strengths, weaknesses, and based on that they can make their plans as such. Now, if you want to know more detail about this course feature, you can download the Legacy app, or you can also click the link in the description box of this particular video. Now, coming back to this particular topic, if you look at the brief history of the Chabahar port, the concept originated somewhere in the 2002 when we have meeting between Hassan Rouhani and the Brajesh Mishra. Both were the respective national security advisor of both countries, and this led to the path of meeting between the president of Iran, Mohammad Khatami, and the then Prime Minister of India, Atal Bihari Vajpayee. And at the end of this meeting, Chabahar was identified as a key project where India showed its willingness to work. And thus also the reason why India was willing to work on this project is because of the incident that occurred in year 1996. As you can see, on the September 27, 1996, Taliban was able to take control of the Afghanistan government, and because of this, Pakistan Taliban used to enjoy a very strong ties, and Pakistan has blockaded any kind of transit that India can use to pass through Pakistan, Afghanistan, and then connect to Central Asia. So that is why Chabahar was considered as a good point. Now, if you talk about the Chabahar port itself, the development of port was largely being done in two areas. One was called as Shahid Beheshti port, and other is called as Shahid Qalandari port, because the entire Chabahar is a large area. Now, as far as India is concerned, India has invested in one of the port, and that is the Shahid Beheshti port. Apart from that, also if you understand that in 2016, a trilateral agreement was signed between India, Iran, and Afghanistan. Now, keep in mind, 2016 is the year when you do not have Taliban government, Taliban rule in Afghanistan, and that time the trade ties between Afghanistan and India were expected to get a boost because both of the governments were willing to do so. Then 2017, the first phase of the port was inaugurated, and India sent wheat to Afghanistan. After that, several times, Afghanistan also exported its goods and commodities via Chabahar port to India as such. So, to some extent, we can say port already was operational. However, it is not operating at full capacity. The total capacity of the port is believed to be 85 million tons, and this will be developed in a phase-wise manner. Now, also if you try to understand the delay, we have seen a massive delay in the development of this port, because if you remember, I told you the concept of port originated somewhere in the year 2003 itself, and since now 22 years have passed, still the entire port has not developed. And the reason behind this is due to the lagging work or slow work which India is well known for. No matter which country you talk about, the execution of the projects that India has announced in its neighborhood also have seen a slow growth and slow completion, and that is because of the way how things work. Then you also had to face geopolitical roadblock, because during the times of Bush administration, US labeled Iran as one of the axis of evil along with the Iraq and North Korea as such, and due to this also US exited from the JCPOA, and apart from that, again then situation improved when US became a member of JCPOA, that is Joint Comprehensive Plan of Action, as far as the Iran's nuclear ambition is concerned. But during Trump's administration, we see Trump pulling out of JCPOA, and further reimposition of sanctions was done in 2018. Now, this reimposition of sanction is something that India was able to skirt off because of the waiver that was provided to it. However, though the sanctions were overall applied on the Iran itself, Iran before Russia invaded Ukraine can be considered as one of the most sanctioned country in the world, and that is why there are a lot of difficulty in sourcing international suppliers and completion of project. Apart from that, if you look at what we have done in the recent time. So we know that there has been escalation between US and Iran, especially after Israel attacked Iranian territory, and US also has participated after using its B-2 bomber to destroy the nuclear sites of Iran. As such, this has escalated the tension, and now US is trying to apply maximum pressure as much as it can to ensure that Iran again do not go back to the path of nuclear weapons development or nuclear fuel enrichment, uranium enrichment as such. Also, India has invested because it was boosted by the waiver that was provided to it by the Trump administration. India believed that it could keep on developing project, keep on investing in it, and use it as a transit port. However, and because of this, India has invested almost 100 crore rupees for the Chabahar port, and also it resumed wheat aid to Afghanistan, and that is very significant development because when Taliban came into power, it was believed that the relation between India and Afghanistan will cool down or it will be kind of on will go on a downward trajectory. However, Taliban government also has showed its willingness to have a good ties, warm ties with India, and they have asked India to keep on continuing with the aids and the infrastructure project development it has promised the earlier government as well. Now, also by this, due to this positive steps taken by Taliban government, India reopened its embassy in Kabul after the return of Taliban, and to some extent we have engagement with Afghanistan as such. Now, the question that comes, the biggest question that is in your mind is that why suddenly US administration under Donald Trump has waived the withdrawn the waiver. So you have to understand again, Donald Trump has taken certain steps which seems to be anti-Indian stance, especially after the Operation Sindoor, and then what followed was the India-Pakistan war. Now we know that because of also US has been entangled in the Israel-Iran war also. So it is believed, if we talk about the official stance of the US administration, they have stated that Trump want to pressurize Iran and want to apply and follow a maximum pressure policy, and this maximum pressure policy is largely envisioned to ensure that Iran does not go back and again start nuclear enrichment as such, and they also are focused on isolating Iran as much as possible to ensure that they do not get any kind of help, and that is how they will not be able to use the funds, resources from various different projects that they have to fund their nuclear weapon development program. Now, overall, the entire legal framework itself, US calls it as IFCA, that is Iran Freedom and Counter Proliferation Act. Under this particular act, any entity directly or indirectly engaging with the Iranian administration, with the Iranian government, or maybe investing in the Iranian projects will face severe sanctions as such. And under this particular act, waiver was granted to India, and now it is this waiver that has been suddenly withdrawn. That means it opens risk to India, because any operator of Chabahar port, it is the Indian company which has taken the control of Chabahar port, will be open to face sanction as such, and this has created a big diplomatic problem and challenge for India, because first of all we have to understand that it is an example of setback, massive setback as far as India's aim and goal to connect with the Central Asia, Afghanistan and Europe overall is concerned. Also, it weakens the INSTC that we have discussed, the International North-South Transportation Corridor, and it will also reduce trades with Russia and Europe and such. Plus, the China-Pakistan ties might get further boost, because Gwadar project is something where China does not have any problem to face any problem as such, and they are continuing as per the original plan. Now, obviously, because of such steps taken by the Trump administration, US government, India will have to craft its approach very carefully. It will have to play a balancing role, we can say, between balancing its ties between US and Iran as such, and how India comes out of this dilemma, that diplomatic dilemma is something that we have to wait, watch and look out. That is all about this particular video. If you like the video, please hit the like button, share it with your aspirants, as a subscribe to the channel for more such content. Thank you very much.